In this video, we're going to be talking about the recovery, recycling, and reclaiming equipment, and a little bit about those three terms. These terms are considered the three R's of refrigeration and refrigerant handling. The term recovering refers to removing refrigerant from a system and storing it in an external container. This is regardless of the condition of the removed refrigerant. Note, it is illegal to purge or vent refrigerant into the atmosphere. There's some pretty heavy fines on that. Recovery equipment is designed to allow the technician to safely remove refrigerant from a piece of equipment so the equipment can be repaired or disposed of properly. The term recycling refers to cleaning a refrigerant for reuse by separating out the oil and passing the refrigerant through filter dryers. These filters reduce moisture, acidity, and foreign material. Recycling is generally done on a job site where the HVAC system is located or at a local service shop. In most cases, recovered refrigerant is returned to the system from which it was taken following the repair of a system. Recycled refrigerant can be returned to the system it was recovered from or used in another system belonging to the same owner. EPA prohibits a change in ownership of recycled refrigerant so that it may not be sold or given away. The term reclaimed refers to reprocessing a recovered refrigerant so that it is chemically pure. In order to ensure purity, the reprocessed refrigerant must be analyzed at an approved testing facility before it can be classified as being reclaimed. According to EPA regulations, reclaimed refrigerant must meet the AHRI standard for 700 purity. Standard 700 is the purity of refrigeration. A reclaimed refrigerant can be charged back into a unit designed for use with that refrigerant. Reclamation services are available only at a reprocessing or a manufacturing facility. Refrigerant recovery management equipment is divided into three categories: recovery, a unit that removes the refrigerant; recovery/recycle, a unit that removes and filters the refrigerant; reclaim, a unit that reprocesses the refrigerant to a pure state in accordance with EPA regulations. A technician must always follow local, state, and EPA rules and regulations when working with refrigerants. Proper procedures must always be followed when operating refrigerant recovery and recycling equipment. You need to follow the manufacturer's instructions at all times. Section 608 of the Clean Air Act prohibits venting of refrigerants. Upon determining that a system has a leak or a fault in a refrigeration system, a service technician must recover all refrigerant in the unit, and air conditioning is considered a refrigeration system. Once the issue has been repaired, then the system must be evacuated using a vacuum pump prior to being recharged. According to Section 608 of the Clean Air Act, when opening an equipment for service, technicians must evacuate the HVAC system to established vacuum levels. Recovery equipment has been changed over the years. Advanced technology has made refrigerant recovery equipment much faster and lighter. Many are self-purging, eliminating the need to change hoses at the end of the recovery process. These machines are CFC, HCFC, and HFC compatible. Recovery machines should be used with other instruments such as digital scales to measure the amount of refrigerant removed from a system. Some recovery machines are equipped with automatic vacuum shutoff and an automatic liquid level shutoff that responds to an integrated switch in the recovery cylinder. This switch electronically connected to the recovery machine and will automatically shut off the machine when the recovery tank has reached capacity. All recovery machines manufactured after November 15, 1993 are required to be certified by an EPA-approved organization. So there's some maintenance that needs to be done on recovery machines occasionally. The filter dryer needs to be changed. If the machine contains an inlet filter dryer, it should be removed and replaced as often as the manufacturer recommends. Its purpose is to remove moisture and contaminants from the refrigerant. You need to perform leak checks occasionally. The fittings for connections may loosen with use. Fittings should be checked approximately every 3 months. You need to verify the overfill or high pressure shutoff, check the gauge calibration, and check recovery machine's compressor oil if it has any. Some recovery machines use oil-less compressors. You want to do a complete visual inspection, and you want to use appropriate cables to connect the recovery machines to power. Refrigerant recovered from a system cannot be reused unless they are cleaned first. Recovery and recycling machines recover and clean refrigerant on site or at a local shop. Recovery/recycling machines must be built to EPA standards for recovery rate and amount of vacuum the machine is capable of pulling. Recovery recycling machines must contain a label that indicates it's been certified to comply with AHRI Standard 740. A single pass recycling machine processes refrigerant through a filter dryer and uses distillation to separate the oil from the refrigerant. The refrigerant makes only one trip through the machine and then is stored in the recovery cylinder. A multi-pass recycling machine recirculates the refrigerant through the filter dryer many times and does not distill the oil refrigerant mixture. After a certain amount of times or cycles, the refrigerant is transferred to a recovery cylinder. A recovery/recycling machine can operate in both liquid and vapor cycles, and the hoses do not need to be changed between the processes. Refrigerant reclaiming equipment is only done off-site. Reclamation is a process of refrigerant to its original product specification. This is done through chemical analysis. According to the EPA, these machines must meet AHRI 740 and remove 100% of the moisture and oil particles. The refrigerant is introduced into the reclamation system as a vapor or liquid. The refrigerant is boiled at a high temperature under high pressure. The refrigerant enters a large separator chamber where its velocity is greatly reduced. This is where contaminants such as metal shavings, oil, carbon, and acid drop to the bottom. The distilled vapor passes to an air-cooled condenser and is converted back to a liquid. A replaceable filter dryer in the reclaimed refrigerant circuit removes the moisture as well as any microscopic contaminants. When the liquid passes into an onboard storage chamber, within these chambers, an evaporator assembly lowers the liquid temperatures. The refrigerant is then transferred to external cylinders. Reclamation companies can also dispose of unwanted refrigerants by incineration. Unwanted refrigerant is incinerated at 1200 degrees Fahrenheit. That burns the chlorine in them.